Hello students, welcome to the EPG Pathshala. I am Ashok Goel from the Department of Physics and Astrophysics, University of Delhi. Today we will continue our discussion about the central force motion. In the earlier module, we started the study of central force motion and saw how it can be reduced to a one-body problem, and that too in a plane. So we will continue this study in this module from the paper Classical Mechanics. After studying this module, you will be able to understand the conditions which are satisfied by a central force to impart a closed or open orbit. Because in the unit prior to this, we saw that in the central force, the orbit can be an open orbit like a hyperbola or a parabola, or a closed orbit like an ellipse or a circle. So we will now study the condition which has to be satisfied by a central force to give an open or a closed orbit. Then we will learn about the stability criteria of circular orbits, and then you will also learn that a small repulsive inverse cubic force, that if you add to the inverse square law attractive force a small repulsive force which is inverse cubic, then it gives rise to the perihelion of Mercury which had been observed. A particle in a central force field may execute bounded or open non-circular motion depending on the nature of the force. If the particle is executing one complete revolution, that in its execution of one complete revolution, if it does not return to its original position, it signals a deviation from the inverse square law force, however slight that deviation may be. Because in the presence of inverse square law, the closed orbit, the particle comes back to its original position. So if you find that the particle is not coming back to its original position, or we find that a planet does not come back to its original position, then we know there must be a slight deviation from the inverse square law. And irregularity in the motion of the planet Mercury of this nature was observed. It was observed that the perihelion of the Mercury, what do we mean by perihelion? By perihelion, we mean that the semi-major axis advances at the rate of roughly 574 seconds of an arc per century, that it does not come back. After a century, it advances. Calculation of the influence of other planets predicted an advance of approximately 531 seconds of arc per century, which is still left a deficit of about 40 seconds of arc per century. Einstein's general theory of relativity in the post-Newtonian approximation was able to account for this difference of 43 seconds of arc per century, and in fact this became one of the greatest triumphs of general relativity. In this unit, we will discuss the conditions for closed orbits, we will discuss the stability of the orbits, and we will make an estimate of the advance of the perihelion of Mercury in the presence of deviation from the inverse square law. Let us now consider the open and closed orbits. We saw earlier that the radial velocity of a particle in a central field is given by r dot is equal to under root of 2 by mu, where mu is the reduced mass, multiplied by the total energy E minus the potential energy U, and the whole thing then from this is subtracted L square by mu square by r square. So we have the expression for the relative velocity. Now the relative velocity will vanish at the roots of this expression, which is under the square root sign. So let the two roots be Rx, Rmax and R minimum, where this expression vanishes, which means that E minus U minus L square by mu square R square becomes equal to 0. The motion is therefore confined in the region between R greater than R minimum to less than or equal to R maximum. And these points are the turning points of the motion. For certain values of the potential u of r, there may be only one route, in which case the motion is circular. If the motion of the particle is such that the orbit is closed after finite number of round travel between r minimum and r maximum, that the particle travels from r min to r maximum, and after a large number of rounds around that, the central potential satisfies certain conditions. So, if the orbit after finite number of oscillations does not come back to its initial orbit, the orbit is said to be open, as in the form of a rosette shown in the diagram below. To find the condition for a closed orbit, we need to find the change in angle theta after the particle has made one complete oscillation. So, the complete oscillation means the particle is starting for R minimum to R going to R maximum, coming back to R minimum. So, the change in angle, that is delta theta, which the particle executes, we have to find that change. And if that change at the integral multiple of pi, 2 pi, then the orbit is closed. This change in the angle can be evaluated by noting that d theta by dr can be written as d theta by dt divided by dr by dt, which means d theta by dr can be written as theta dot by r dot, and theta dot can be expressed in terms of the angular momentum L. When we substitute that in our expression for the calculation of the change in angle, then we have to evaluate the integral that delta theta is equal to twice the integral between the limits r minimum to r max of L by r square divided by under root of 2 times mu is the reduced mass, multiplied by E minus U minus L square by mu square R square. So, what we need to do for a given U, we need to evaluate this integral. The path is closed, as I said, if the change in angle is 2 pi times n by m, where n and m are certain integers. Thus, after m oscillations, delta theta will change by 2 pi times an integer, and therefore would return to its original position. That is, after m periods, the particle would have made n complete oscillations and orbit will be closed. Let us consider an example. The example is to show that if the potential u of r varies as some integral power of the radial distance, that is ur is equal to k multiplied by r to the power n plus 1. Now, if the potential varies like this, then a closed non-circular path will result only for the values of n is equal to minus 2 or plus 1. To see this, let us write r in terms of u. So, in terms of the variable u, we have the equation of the orbit or the path, delta theta. Delta theta is the angle which is traversed when the particle travels in the orbit from where r is minimum to r maximum. So, delta theta is minus 2, the integral between r max to r min of du divided by the under root of the expression given here, which is 2 mu E by L square minus 2 mu k L square u to the power minus n minus 1 minus u square. The integral can be expressed in terms of circular functions, provided the radical in the integral is expressed in the form au square plus bu plus c. So, if this radical is in the form au square plus bu plus c, now this can be done for value of minus n minus 1 equal to 0, 1 or 2, because you look, first term is a constant in the radical. First term is a constant. The third term is of the type AU square. For the middle term to be of the linear, then one has to have minus n to the power minus 1 is equal to 0 or 1 or 2, in which in all of these three cases we can express the radical in terms of AU square plus BU plus C. That is, for n is equal to minus 1 or minus 2 or minus 3, this integral can be expressed in terms of circular functions. N is equal to minus 1 implies constant force and is not of interest. N is equal to minus 2 corresponds to the inverse square force law, and n is equal to minus 3 corresponds to the inverse cubic force law. The case of n is equal to minus 2 is the familiar case of planetary motion in gravitational field, which is considered in detail in the previous unit. The equation of the orbit was found to be alpha by r is equal to 1 plus epsilon cos theta, and in this case, obviously the orbit is closed, because as theta goes to theta plus 2 pi, the radial vector returns to its original position. Let's consider orbit in a linear force field. So the force varies linearly with the radial distance r, that is, F is proportional to r. Now this force can be derived from the potential function U is equal to k times r square, because the gradient of this potential is equal to kr. The equation of the orbit expressed in the variable u is delta theta is equal to minus m. We have written this in this form. Theta is equal to minus m integral u du e minus u minus mu square to the power half, where the capital M is L by under root 2 mu. That is, we have substituted for L by under root 2 mu m, capital M, and putting the potential energy U is equal to k by u square. Then the orbit equation is theta is equal to minus m integral u du eu square minus k minus m square u to the power 4, the whole under root, which can be written as a term. The radical term in this expression can be written as some constant minus some square. So finally we have theta expressed as theta minus m integral 2u du divided by a square root of a quantity which is e square by m square minus k minus quantity which is mu is a square of mu square minus e by 2m. Substituting for e square by m square minus k as e prime square, mu square minus e square by 2l prime as x, dx is equal to 2um dm, then theta can be written as minus half dx e prime square minus x square, which can be integrated to give half cosine inverse x by e inverse. Therefore, gives us the equation of the orbit x is equal to e prime cosine theta. Substituting back for x and e prime, so the final equation for the orbit becomes 1 upon r square is equal to e by 2m square plus under root of e square by 4 m square minus k multiplied by 1 by m cosine of 2 theta. Now let us consider when a particle or planet is moving in a central force, whether the orbit it takes is stable or not. If the total energy of the system is equal to the minimum of the effective potential, that is, if the total energy E is equal to U plus L square by 2 mu R square, that is minimum of this quantity, then for any attractive potential, U is negative, and the centrifugal potential energy, which is L square by 2 mu R square, can be made equal to it, resulting in a circular orbit. So what we are saying? We are saying that if the potential is attractive, U is negative, then we can make centrifugal, for some value of L, this centrifugal force or the centrifugal potential energy can be made equal to the in magnitude to the potential U, in which case you have the total energy equal to 0 and a circular orbit results. A circular orbit means r is equal to rho, that r remains constant is equal to some rho, and that r dot is equal to 0 at r is equal to rho for all time t. This is possible if the derivative of v with respect to r at r is equal to rho is equal to 0. That means for the orbit to be stable, we should have a true minimum at r is equal to rho. A true minimum means that the second derivative of v with respect to r square at r is equal to rho has to be greater than 0. So for the orbit to be stable, the potential, effective potential v should have a true minimum at certain value r is equal to rho. Let us consider a central force f of r is equal to minus k upon r to the n. This force corresponds to a potential u of r, which is minus k upon n minus 1, 1 upon r to the power n minus 1. And v of r is equal to this potential energy plus the centrifugal potential energy, which is L square plus 2 mu r square. The minimum of this total potential occurs when dv by dr is equal to 0 for some value of r is equal to rho, and is a true minimum provided the second derivative is positive, which implies that k by rho square minus L square by mu rho square is equal to 0, which means that rho to the power n minus 3 is equal to mu k by L square, and the second derivative greater than 0 implies minus nk divided by rho to the power n plus 1 plus 3L square divided by mu rho to the power 4 is greater than 0. That is 3L square by mu minus nk divided by rho to the power n minus 3. If this quantity is greater than 0, then we have a minimum in the potential and the orbit is stable. Now substituting for rho from the equation above, namely rho to the power n minus 3 is equal to mu k by L square, this implies that 3 minus n L square by mu has to be greater than 0. Now L square is a positive number, mu is the reduced mark, which is a positive number. So this means that n has to be less than 3 for the stable orbit. For a general central force field, f of r is equal to minus mu g of r, where mu is some constant. The corresponding potential is u, then f of r is minus du by dr, and then the Lagrangian equation of motion for this is r double dot plus r theta dot square is equal to minus g of r. Now consider the particle to be in a circular orbit of radius rho. To examine this stability, let the radius be perturbed by a small amount, that is r goes to rho plus x. So the particle is in a circular orbit and we perturb the orbit by a small amount x. Now the second derivative of r is obviously equal to the second derivative of x because rho is constant, and from the equation substituting for r double dot, we get theta dot is equal to L by mu r square, and that is, we know that theta dot is L by 2 mu square. We substitute this in the expression above, so we get x double dot minus L square by mu cube rho cube into 1 plus x by rho to the power 3 is equal to minus g, this function g evaluated, which is a general central field, evaluated at the point rho plus x. So this potential we can expand in the Taylor series as minus g of rho minus g prime of rho and higher order terms. And we can further also expand 1 plus x by rho to the power minus 3 on the left hand side as 1 minus 3x by rho. So from this equation expanding for small x, we get x double dot minus L square by mu square rho cube 1 plus x by rho is equal to minus g of rho plus x g prime of rho. For a circular orbit, r double dot is equal to 0 and g evaluated at the point rho is equal to L square divided by mu square rho cube, and therefore the equation in the perturbation x becomes x double dot plus 2g rho by rho plus g prime rho multiplied by x equal to 0. So this is the equation. We can say x double dot plus some constant times x is equal to 0. So it has a solution like the oscillator. So the solution of this is x of t is equal to some constant times e to the power minus I omega t plus some other constant b into exponential I omega t. Now, look at this solution. Now, in this, a and b are constant. So, the stability of the orbit is ensured if omega is real. On the other hand, if omega is imaginary, then x will increase exponentially, making orbit unstable. Therefore, the stability of the orbit is ensured provided omega is real, which means 3g rho by rho plus g prime rho is greater than 0. G prime rho by g of rho plus 3 by rho is greater than 0 is the condition for the stability. Let us discuss now the perihelion of Mercury. We mentioned earlier that the perihelion of Mercury, which means that the semi-major axis, was found to advance at the rate of roughly 574 seconds of an arc per century. This would happen if the law of force deviated from the inverse square law. We will assume the presence of a small 1 by r cube force in addition to the inverse square law to understand the advance in the perihelion. This small 1 by r cube force could, for example, arise due to the presence of other gravitating bodies, that is, other planets, comets, etc., apart from the Sun. The Sun, of course, provides the major inverse square force. So, we take the potential UR to be a sum of two terms, one arising from the inverse square force and one arising from the cubic force, which the cubic force is, inverse cubic force is taken to be repulsive. So, we write UR as equal to minus KR plus beta times divided by R square in terms of our variable u, which is 1 upon r. We write UR as minus KU plus beta u square, and for calculating the advance in the perihelion, we assume beta to be small. The orbit equation for the perihelion of Mercury is given by theta is equal to minus m integral du divided by under root of e minus u minus m square by u square, where we have defined m before. Now, substituting for u and writing m beta square is equal to m square plus beta, we can write this orbit equation theta is equal to minus m integral du divided by under root of e plus ku minus m square plus beta into u square, and just manipulating the symbols here, we can write this orbit equation as theta is equal to minus m beta integral of du divided by e prime square minus the whole square of the quantity m beta u minus k by 2 m beta, which can be written as some constant alpha times theta is equal to integral dx divided by e prime square minus x square under root, where alpha is equal to m beta by m, e prime square is equal to e plus k square divided by 4 m beta square, and x is equal to m beta u minus k by 2 m beta. Now, this equation alpha theta is equal to minus integral dx divided by e prime square minus x square under root can be integrated to give, and substituting now for the constant for the variable x, we get 1 upon r is equal to 1 plus e cosine alpha theta divided by 2m beta square by k, where the eccentricity E is given by under root of 1 plus 4 m beta square E by k square. Now, if the total energy is negative, which happens when eccentricity is also negative, then we saw the orbit is an ellipse. But it's not a closed orbit. When we add this small repulsive cubic force, because as theta goes to theta plus 2 pi, the particle does not come back to its original position in the presence of the small inverse cubic force. So as theta goes to alpha theta, in fact. So where alpha is m square plus beta divided by m square under root of that quantity. So theta goes to theta plus 1 by 2 beta by m square into theta, which means that theta doesn't come back but advances to by an amount which is mu times beta by L square into theta. Thus, the perihelion advances or shifts, all the shift in the semi-major axis is proportional to the strength of the inverse cubic repulsive force, and the orbit is not a closed orbit but is a precessing ellipse. So students, let us summarize what we have learned in this module. We have learned that a particle moving in a force field where the force is either an inverse square or a linear harmonic force, the orbit is a closed orbit. In the presence of inverse cubic force law, the orbit is no longer closed and this force results in an open precessing elliptical orbit. The circular orbit of a particle moving in a general central force field is stable provided the derivative of log of gr evaluated at r is equal to the radius of the circular orbit plus 3 by rho is less than 0, where rho is the radius of the circular. If this condition is satisfied, then the orbit is stable. Further, the perihelion of Mercury arises because of the presence of a small repulsive inverse cubic force. Thank you.